Two friends meet up to drink some beers and talk about past times. Not yesterday, but long ago, it's scandals, wars and crimes. From Stalin's reign to Prohibition, Tudors, Pompey, Bush and NASA's mission, Edison's bulk, Genghis Khan's rise to victory. Forget your old teacher, it's time for Pint-Sized History.
As we often do in Pint-Sized History, we do have slight technical errors at some points in recording our episodes. And in this episode, like some others, we have had a little boo-boo, and there'll be no visuals for the first 10 minutes of this podcast. But don't worry, because we have someone who's desperate to claim accountability for the issue. And that is Alfie, our producer. And he's going to come in here and apologise for messing up with our visuals, which meant you didn't get 10 minutes of this episode to see our beautiful faces. So, Alfie, would you just like to come in here, please?
Oh, no. Here he comes.
I'll go in this camera.
There you go, mate.
Yes, I'm very sorry to all the pint-sized historians out there and fans of the show for the first 15 minutes of no video. You missed a lot. Apologies.
I don't think you
That
don't
doesn't
look
feel real. I feel like that's not
doesn't look
genuine.
remorseful.
I don't think he cares at all, man. He's happy he's fucked it up.
Can you really look them in the eye and really say sorry?
They have docked my wages, and I have learned. I'm very sorry.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you very much, Alfie.
Yeah,
Well,
cheers, Alf. Thanks for letting the people know.
we're sorry anyway. And we hope you enjoy regardless of the visuals.
Yes.
I mean, the sad thing is you won't be able to see my face. For 10
No, well,
minutes.
thank God for that. But yeah, I think it will probably be about 10-15 minutes, and you'll be able to. The visuals will come back, and then from there it'll just be a normal pod. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And again, sorry.
Hi there, it's me, Zach.
And I'm Joe.
And welcome to the Pint-Sized History. It feels very forced doing that, doesn't it?
It's just about
Welcome
weird.
back to the Pint-Sized History Podcast, Season 3.
Season 3. Well, that's
Come on,
us.
woo.
Season 3. Woo.
What have you been up to in your time off, Joe?
So much. So much. I've been to France. That hasn't actually happened, but by the time this comes out, I've been to France, and France was lovely.
Good.
What a place.
Good.
What a place.
Don't go to Paris, though.
No.
No.
Why not?
Shithole.
Oh.
And sorry, French fans, listeners.
I mean, I wouldn't personally say that.
Parisians.
Oh, no.
That's the problem.
Mate,
That's the issue.
0.5% of our audience are Parisians.
Well, actually.
No, I've got no clue. Hold on though, Zach, because I'd just like to say something important. When this podcast goes out, we will have reached 1 full year. In fact, we've passed one full year. Yeah, I mean, our first podcast was August the 1st, 2024, and it was D-Day.
Okay. Okay, nice.
How do you feel?
Well, I feel that's really good. I think I'm really buzzy to be back for season 3, and I think that's a great way to mark us back in for this, because it is a lot of fucking fun doing this. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still trying not to swear 1 year in, and still failing miserably.
You
doing
literally
so.
just said the F
Yeah,
word.
no, I know. So I'm glad we're back, and I'm glad we've done it for a year. It's great. So I'm incredibly hungover right now.
Yeah.
So my brain is not
Yeah,
operating
he
normally.
was out partying the night before.
traitors people, yeah.
And he said it was like the most hungover he's ever been.
Yeah.
Which when he says it like 5 times a year, it's hard to know which one is actually the most hungover.
Anyway.
But we'll believe him. We've got a corker to start season 3.
Wait, hold your horses. I'm sorry.
yeah.
This episode was brought to you by Crepe Brewery, Joe. How dare you try and push past the brilliant Crepe Brewery in Hackney, who have an unbelievable selection of beers. And let me just... Ooh. I've got the lager today.
What do I have?
Oh, that's not good for the hangover.
I've got a hazy haze.
Go to the Crate Brew website, it's cratebrewery.com, and type in on any purchase for beers or crates of beers, Pint-Sized 15, that's PINTSIZED 15. So go get your own pint today. They do these delicious cocktails too, which I think we're going to get our hands on very shortly.
Oh, yeah?
And I actually cannot wait to try this. They look really
Cocktail
good.
history.
Yuzu
Cock-sized
cocktails.
cock-sized history.
Cock-sized cocktails.
Cock-sized cocktail history. Oh, that's going to be fun.
Cocktails size history. Is that what you're going for?
I was just saying cock-sized history.
You really pleased yourself with that one, didn't you?
Yes, come on, man.
Joe, what are we talking about
Yes,
today?
it's a corker. It's a corker to start season 3. I realised when I was researching this that we seem to start every single season with a World War II episode.
Really? What do we start season 2 with?
Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
So
It's
that's
kind of
our-
I would
that's
say
our
it's
trend.
our expertise.
But the other thing I thought was that because World War II is a subject we really love, and we feel like we've done a lot of it. I thought we had done way more, but we've done
fuck all.
We've done 26 episodes, and I think like 4 of them or 5 of them
There's so
are,
much I
are
wanna
World
do.
War II.
wanna do-
This is the 5th. So in reality, it's actually really not that much.
What do you What are your top 5 must talk about histories for World War II? Like what individual episodes, podcast episodes, or just topics in general?
I mean,
from World War II?
D-Day and Stalingrad, which were our first two, are right up
Pearl
there.
Harbor's probably there
Pearl
too.
Harbor's up there. I mean, there's so many things.
The atom bomb?
Yeah, the atom bomb.
Kursk? Battle of Kursk?
Yeah, maybe not top 5.
The invasion of Sicily?
Yeah, I mean, Operation Barbarossa, the start of the Germans
sort of covered that a little bit,
attacking
yeah.
Russia, the spy networks and stuff, the naval battles, Battle of Midway. There's so many things that you could talk about with World War II.
Which we will eventually do.
Will we?
I'm sure we will eventually. Yeah, we'll do every single one.
Well, look, Battle of Britain, I think, is a very worthy slice of history.
So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the Battle of Britain. If you hadn't clicked on the episode, so you know exactly what it is. And you always do this. You're like, oh, maybe we should let
Surprise!
them know. It's like,
Surprise!
everyone knows, man. We've got a fucking RAF plane
The
behind us, a
thumbnails.
Spitfire. And it's like, come on, everyone knows. So, yeah, we're doing the Battle of...
You think the Spitfire is why they know this is a Battle of Britain episode,
just
and not the fact that when they click on the podcast episode, it says Battle of Britain.
So, yeah, we're obviously doing the Battle of Britain, which is a really interesting story and honestly a crucial piece of history that, you know, everything would be different if this event had gone differently. And it's also a very patriotic moment for our country.
Too right. Hand the Germans a whopping.
Exactly. But yeah, I feel like although many people know about the Battle of Britain, and some people know a lot about it because it's such a fun subject to learn about, in general, I think a lot of the finer details about it are probably not particularly known. It's probably one of those subjects that you could give a vague thing about, but actually, in reality, there's so many little pieces of information that I was learning about and going, wow, this is really cool. I mean, this is...
Radar.
But yeah, the Battle of Britain, what do they call it in Germany? You speak German?
Oh, fucking Jesus. I don't know what battle is. Maybe... Die Battle von England.
It's the Luftwaffe und England. Yeah,
Very nice.
Thank you. Which just means air battle of England.
I see.
Yeah.
Luft
Luft is obviously air.
Luftwaffe.
And Schlacht, I guess, is...
Schlacht is battle?
Is battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have guessed that. Would have thought like Battle or something.
Battle.
Like B-A-T-T-E-L.
No, because the battle is a romance word.
Is it?
Yeah, battaglia. So...
Is it a German not romance language?
No, so German will be a different version of it.
What is that?
What's another word for battle?
Conflict? Skirmish.
Skirmish. Yeah, it'll be something like that. It'll be like... Well,
see.
it's not. It's Schlacht, what we're talking about, but you know what I
Schlacht
mean. Like,
could be skirmish.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be something like that. Anyway, it's an air battle, right? So the Battle of Britain was actually the first ever major military campaign fought entirely by air forces.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd argue the
what
most
else there
important as well, because I don't think there's any since that have been more important than what we're going to talk about.
Because Vietnam was quite air-based.
Was
a lot of bombing campaigns, yeah.
Yeah, but
not really the same.
But
It's not
fought entirely by air
dogfighting.
force. Yeah, it's not. You know,
So
there's
sick.
This is a completely different type of warfare.
If you were going to be in the army, what branch would you want to be in? I think I've asked you this before.
You have, yeah.
I
Well,
said on the
I
podcast?
said if I had to go to a war, then I think I'd want to be like, I'd want to fight with like the best of the best. That's what I'd want to do. So I'd want to go like
I have
Marines.
asked you this. I have asked you.
Yeah,
I asked
you
you this
have.
in the D-Day episode.
But
I think.
you know you'd want to be Air Force,
RAF,
right?
be fucking
Yeah.
sick. Being able to fly, I think Spitfires are probably like
Yeah.
I think they're probably the coolest fucking thing. I think they are. You stake a claim. What's really cool? Spitfires roll right off the tongue there, right into the mind.
Spitfires are pretty cool. We'll get to
I
Spitfires
went to the
in a
Imperial
moment.
War Museum
Okay.
and I saw a Spitfire. And when I go to the coast to Carrie's parents down there, they do Spitfire dogfighting there, and it costs about 10 grand to do. And one day I would definitely want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But being an RAF fighter pilot in World War II, flying a Spitfire, there's not much cooler than that.
Yeah, no, mate, I completely agree. But don't worry, we'll get to Spitfires. We haven't, you know, we've
So
only-
I'm just
we've only
really excited about
started.
Spitfires. It's my autistic obsession.
So to explain what the Battle of Britain is very quickly, I would just say that it's essentially this last-ditch scrap fight for their lives, essentially, from the RAF and the British public in terms of what they did day to day to stop the Germans having air superiority over the British skies. If air superiority is achieved, then Hitler has the green light to invade Britain from the coast.
Was that Operation Sea Lion?
Operation Sea Lion, a reverse D-Day.
Yes.
What's the German word for day?
Tag.
T-Tag. The Germans T-Tag.
Why T?
Because what do you mean by
Oh,
T?
oh,
For goodness sake. Do you not know what D-Day means?
Tag.
I don't think this guy knows what D-Day means.
No, I
'cause
do.
Day.
Yeah, tag.
Tag. T-Tag.
Okay,
Deliverance.
Taj.
Taj. So, the backstory. When the Nazis invaded Poland in 1939, Britain and France declare war. But it's not for months after that there's any actual fighting. It's the phony war. It's essentially they all just pretend like they're about to fight, but really just build forces. But then suddenly, in May 1940, Hitler surprise attacks France, Belgium, and the Netherlands by going through the Ardennes. Blitzkrieg! Ah! You know, all that stuff. So they smashed
the
through...
Ardennes. They couldn't possibly get through the Ardennes.
I know, and yet they did. They smashed through continental Europe, and within weeks... Hitler has conquered Paris, subjugated these countries, and the poor, battered British army has to be saved from the beaches of Dunkirk.
Yeah.
That's worthy of its own episode, by the way. That would be one of them. I know we're just talking about
sure.
episodes. Dunkirk would definitely be one.
I find it so funny that the Germans just like... so like, at the start of World War II, when the French had the Maginot Line, which is like the defensive fortifications on the border of Germany and France. And the Germans were like, we could do that. We could just like take a shortcut through this like forest in Belgium, and then just complete. What the French are like? What the hell, man? This is who can ever see this coming?
We built all this nice equipment.
Not in the war.
Look at this line we've built.
Yeah.
Please go this way.
Come to the Maginot Line, please.
Please, why use the Ardennes? That's not fair. We didn't agree to this.
It feels like very Bugs Bunny, that sort of move for the Germans.
That's why it was quite impressive. And up to that point, Hitler, was just undefeated, he was barreling through
fucking
conflicts.
Orfarming.
So all of a sudden this unstoppable German army has conquered almost all of continental Europe. Britain is now the only country left fighting World War II against the Nazis. And this is why this conflict is so important, right? If Britain were to lose this battle, then the course of history would be entirely different. D-Day doesn't happen. Hitler controls Europe. Britain becomes a puppet state. Does Russia fall? Does Japan and Germany together eventually defeat America? Or does America just sue for peace? Do the Germans get the atomic bomb first? These are all questions that we don't know, but it would have been a much less stable route to victory for the West, the democracies of the world, if Germany had defeated the British Empire.
It does stir a patriotic feeling, doesn't it?
Well,
we stood alone.
Yeah, you're so right. Listen to this, and that feeling will grow, right? So
an erection of patriotism.
It really cannot be understated just how important this Battle of Britain is. And Winston Churchill, who had only become Prime Minister 1 month before this, said pretty much the same in his speech in the House of Commons on the 18th of June, 1940. This is what he said. What General Weygand called the Battle of France is over. I expect that the Battle of Britain is about to begin.
God, I'm fucking hard.
Upon this
pitching a huge tent right now.
Upon this battle depends the survival of Christian civilization. Upon it depends our own British life and the long continuity of our institutions and our empire. The whole fury and might of the enemy must very soon be turned on us. Hitler knows that he will have to break us in this island or lose the war. If we can stand up to him, all Europe may be free and the life of the world may move forward into broad, sunlit uplands. But if we fail, then the whole world, including the United States, including all that we have known and cared for, will sink into the abyss of a new dark age made more sinister and perhaps more protracted by the light of a perverted science. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duties and so bear ourselves that, if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say this was their finest hour.
Ooh, that's a very good speech.
Churchill's so good at that shit, isn't he?
Yeah, he's also
finest hour. That's one of Churchill's most famous speeches. His
have
finest
you got
hour.
Blood, Sweat, and Toil there too?
I don't, but I do have another one of his.
Fight them on the beaches.
Yeah, that's
we
a classic.
Will fight them on the landing
We'll do that Churchill speech when it's Dunkirk. When we do a Dunkirk episode for sure.
Have you seen Darkest Hour?
Yeah, of course.
With Gary Oldman.
Great film.
As Churchill. Really fucking good.
Very good.
I don't know why I didn't watch it straight away after it came out. It took like 2 or 3 years to get around to watching it. But it's what film it is.
It's terrific.
The bit where he's on the Bakerloo line and he's
that's all completely made up. But
bullshit,
but it is nice. It is proper British patriotism in that movie.
Churchill comes up a lot in this podcast.
My favorite moment from that film is when he's arguing with Stannis from Game of Thrones, Stephen Gillam, who's playing Lord Halifax. Yeah. And Halifax is saying, like, we have to... I've talked to Mussolini. We have to sue for peace. Mussolini will broker peace deals with Hitler and us. And Churchill's like, when will the lesson be learned? when will the lesson be learned? Like stamps his fucking thing, his cane on the thing, and he goes like, you cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth, and he like storms out the room. That is so good. It's like, why can no one else recognize that appeasement will never work?
Yeah.
It's like we've been doing appeasement for years and years. When will people fucking wake up? I love
Churchill.
that. I love that
200
emotion.
200 IQ, that man.
Yeah,
But horrible barbarian.
troublesome individual. We don't condone Winston.
Every time you got to be positive about Winston, you have to be immediately like, but really quite troubled. Like,
Troubled man, slightly racist. Quite
Slightly
racist.
Doesn't like Indians.
Doesn't like Indians.
Indians like him.
But he was an important figure for us in this moment. Anyway, so meanwhile, you got to play both sides. Meanwhile, in Berlin, Adolf Hitler had requested a plan be made for the invasion of Great Britain. The operation was called
Sea Lion.
Operation Sea Lion, and in German, that's
fuck me. I've stopped learning
he
it.
said he speaks
I haven't
German,
touched Duolingo in a year, basically.
I mean, this is difficult. How would you know Operation Sea Lion? You can give it a go, though.
No, I can't give it a go.
Unternehmen Seeluwe.
That's a nice name.
Yeah,
Rolls off the tongue.
Unternehmen.
Unternehmen.
Operation.
Oh, plan is, Unternehmen.
Operation.
Yeah.
Seeluwe.
I know that from Hearts of
Sie
Iron.
is sea, and Luwe is lion. So
Sie.
Unternehmen Seeluwe.
Unternehmen Seeluwe. Unternehmen is a good word.
Yes, I mean, that's a great word for a plan. Fuck yeah. That gets me hyped. I want to invade Britain after hearing that word. Anyway, the plan would be similar to D-Day, with landing crafts amphibiously delivering troops to the south coast of Britain from Portsmouth to Dover. In fact, a bit north of Dover, I think, is the line that they're considering, or these areas that they could drop troops on. But to achieve this... The White Cliffs, yep, absolutely. But to achieve this, Hitler would need complete naval and air superiority. Amphibious landings are incredibly difficult, aren't they, Zach?
Yes.
Thank you. To achieve them successfully, and also not lose your entire army in the process, and also just to not get pushed back into the sea once you're actually on land, you need complete control of the sea and also of the skies above. And this is where Hitler's difficulty lies, in the British Navy and the British RAF.
Yeah, how's he planning on getting naval dominance against the British Navy?
Well, the thing is, he doesn't need naval dominance because he can't. The British Navy is, one of a kind.
Yeah.
But what he does need is naval dominance in the English Channel.
Yeah.
And he can get that
where the majority of our fleet is.
Well, yeah, but he can get that if he has air superiority. Because if he has air superiority, then the ships can't do anything.
Yeah.
So that is the most important factor. Is you start with air superiority. Once you have it, the Navy is then less of an issue. And then once the Navy's gone, then you have your green light.
I see.
The first step is taking control of the British sky. If the Luftwaffe, which means...
Air Force.
Nice. If the Luftwaffe can succeed in this, then the green light is there. Therefore, the Battle of Britain officially begins. Essentially, this is how this campaign works. The German Air Force bring bombers and start bombing airfields and factories and RAF infrastructure to destroy their capability.
Yeah.
These bombers are flanked, or sometimes it's mostly, German fighter planes, usually the Messerschmitt 109.
Oh, yeah. Great plane.
Yep, who could protect the bombers and also try to wipe out as many RAF aircraft as possible.
Yeah. If you haven't, Joe, and I'm going to take you there regardless, we need to go to RAF Colindale again, because I went there.
I'm not sure when
I went there last week with my nephew, and it's so cool. They have a hangar 2 or hangar 4, I don't know. A hangar. They have a hangar there, and it's full to the brim with World War II aircraft. It says they've got like the German heavy bombers, the Heinkels and the Junkers, I think they're called. They've got Stukas there. They've got like the Lancaster bombers there, the British Lancaster bombers, which are enormous. They're so big, and it's just so cool getting to see them all. So we'll go.
I would like to. I imagine the last time I was when I was a
TikToks
kid.
there.
Yeah, sure. There's content. There's content for sure. Subscribe to our Patreon so you can pay for our tickets to go.
It's free.
It's
free. Everyone should go.
So do our Patreon anyway.
Yeah,
We don't have a Patreon.
Colindale is a fucking huge shithole. But then, there is just this marvel. It looks like it's going to be shit, RF Colindale, but it's really cool.
Okay, so back to Battle of Britain. Like I said, the Battle of Britain begins. This is the plan from the Germans. And therefore, every day, sometimes several times a day, the air raid siren would start ringing, or the air base telephone would start calling, and the RAF would spring into action. Ground staff would prepare aircraft for takeoff, and pilots would jump into British planes like the Hurricane and the Spitfire.
Oh, yeah.
Within seconds, they'd be flying into the sky to take the Luftwaffe head on. Now, the Spitfire, you're right, is kind of the golden crown of like British aircraft. It just looks so
it's not
cool.
actually as good as Messerschmitt. It's in the air.
No,
but it's
on a level though. That's what I saw.
I think it's more versatile.
But like in terms of like ability, it's on a level or a similar level to the Messerschmitt, so
top
it can
trumps.
hang with it. Meanwhile, the Hurricane isn't, but the Hurricane was cheaper to produce, and they just had more of them.
Yeah.
So it did a bulk of it. The Spitfires actually made up a less of a proportion of the Air Force, but they were both crucial. I mean, the numbers that they were pulling out, pretty much. The majority of air skirmishes that would happen, not every time, but most of them, the British would come away with less losses than the Germans. The Germans would usually seem to lose more planes. But yeah, I mean,
because of radar.
Partly because of radar. So you're literally getting these aircraft fighting in dogfights. Dogfights were a thing before World War II, but on this kind of scale, over the skies of a country that hasn't been invaded in God knows how many years. This is like something that the world had never seen before.
They don't fly particularly high either. So like, if you were alive at the time and you saw there was a fight happening, I don't know, near Dover or whatever, or on the coast, you looked up, you could probably see everything that's happening on a clear day. Yeah. When you go to the coast and you see the Spitfires dogfighting, they look like, really visible.
It's quite incredible the views that certain people would have seen if you were in South England at that time. Just looking up and just seeing all this fucking shooting happening above you. It'd be insane. You have to also recognize the physical and mental exhaustion of the pilots that are fighting, because this is essentially non-stop, right? You're fighting several times a day with heavy losses, and you are purely reactive. You're not you are literally just waiting for a call. You fly, you fight, you land your aircraft, you sit around the RAF base nearby, you have a smoke, you play some cards, you might have a nap. But the second that phone rings again, you have to sprint back to your plane and get ready to take off immediately.
Fighter pilots they're the rock stars of like the military world.
Yeah,
right?
I've got that written down. They were the rock stars of the 1940s.
Yeah. Aces were really famous.
Because you can't, the concept of defending your country in such a dramatic way, flying, which, 40 years ago, that wasn't a thing to fly an aircraft. And suddenly you've got these young men getting into a plane within seconds and flying away. On the visual podcast, the photo we have behind is, some of these men waiting for the call. They've got a Spitfire behind them, sitting, waiting for having a little chill, they would be younger than us, these guys. They would, almost all of them would be younger than us, sitting down, maybe playing some games.
They are a handsome selection of men.
Chatting some, yeah, absolutely. Especially that dashing one on the right.
On the far right.
Yeah.
He looks really good.
He's hot.
If I wasn't erect for Churchill and the Spitfire, I'm gosh darn erect now.
Every single one of them was ready to die for their country. When, no one else is fighting. I mean, like, yes, everyone in the country is working together, like factories and, the everyday person you run into on the street, they're all working together. But these are the ones that are actually fighting. These are the ones that are actually getting into the air and taking on Germans head on, which is just not really a thing. I guess on the sea, that's also the case. But in general, this is not these guys were special in terms of it's like if Britain was a Formula One team, these are the racing car drivers. The whole team
that
are working.
That guy's Max Verstappen.
That guy's Max.
He's Charles Leclerc, maybe.
He's the GOAT. But they're the one. These are the heroes. But in reality, it was always a team effort, and it always was. Especially because, and I am going to mention this briefly now, radar was a system that had been invented secretly by the British at this point. So radar was not a thing. No one knew what radar was until the British came up with this and kept it very stum.
For those of you who don't know what radar is like basically, if you look at it's really simple. If you look at like any old movie or something of like a submarine or a boat, it's got like a green screen with like the black monitor behind it, and it will ping up, ding, ding, for when like an enemy aircraft, enemy ship comes near it. It was really important in World War II for like both tracking planes for the British and tracking U-boats as well in the Atlantic Sea, which were the German submarines. So it was like fundamentally one of like the war-winning inventions for us.
And most importantly, the Germans had no idea that the British had this. So when these German squadrons were flying across the channel, they thought they were undetected to a point. They knew that they'd eventually be seen, but they didn't realize that there was literally a huge room that had little, these pieces on a board, and people going, okay, so they're coming from this direction, they're coming from this direction, they're like planning. And then they literally buzz, they go, okay, so we need this squadron from this area to fly up, we need this squadron from this area, and then they get the call, and then they go and they're ready. And suddenly the Germans are like, how do these guys, they were so ready. We were like, Jesus, they're well organized.
They must have thought they had something like that though, the Germans.
They must have thought,
probably,
but I don't
think
they never realized this system itself.
Yeah.
And that was a huge thing for the Brits. If they didn't have that readiness, that ability to be able to get ready so quickly, then, you know, they wouldn't have had the losses that I said earlier, how Brits are able to win most of these battles without losing more troops than the Germans. In general, the Brits were the ones that lost less aircraft and men from it.
Big thing for me is people really underplay the role that the British played in World War II, because we didn't lose the amount of men that the US and Russians lost. And, you know, it wasn't fought on our soil. It's quite reduced as what people think our role is. I think we didn't do that much fighting. What we were was just a massive pain in the arse constantly, blockading German merchant routes, fighting them in North Africa, fighting them in Sicily, fighting them in Norway,
spies as well. The MI6 was so good at the spy network, the ability to gain information, the Enigma cracking the code. Apparently, when the Russians were invaded in Operation Barbarossa, we now were no longer under threat of invasion ourselves, and apparently we were constantly sending the Russians intelligence that we had seen, that we'd been able to gather for ourselves. So we, you know, sure, we might not have lost as many troops, but British intelligence was a crucial part of making sure that the Nazis didn't get their way.
Well, there's that really famous quote, isn't it? It's like Russian blood, American steel, British intelligence. It makes me feel quite patriotic and I'm not a particularly nationalistic or patriotic person, although I think there are times where it does warrant it. And just hearing about what we did in the war and that generation, it is like really awe-inspiring. It makes you.
I have a bit about that I was saving for the very end of the podcast, but we can talk about it here. I completely agree. For me, I think that there are many things that we talk about in history on this podcast, but just in general, where it can be quite easy to feel a bit ashamed of our history and our, you know, especially what to do with our colonial times. There are many things that are quite embarrassing as a Brit to talk about, and then there are things that are good and bad, and, you know, the smaller things. I would put the Battle of Britain and a few other things right at the top of what you can say makes you proud to be British in terms of history, because, you know, we were fighting on our own. We had we had money, I guess, coming in, leases from America and stuff. But in reality, you know, we were up against a unit that had taken over Europe, was so efficient, was so well done, and yet we were able, as a much smaller nation, to be able to keep up with them. And, you know, when I tell you some of these stories about how these Brits were able to overcome odds and some of the sacrifices that some of them made, you just think like, yeah, I mean, this was our country working at its best. And this is why I think with Churchill, you know, we talk about how he's a troubled individual and it's difficult to praise him without also mentioning his faults. For all the faults Churchill had, the pure grit and stubbornness that he brought to the table meant that Britain as a whole was the best it could be. Like, every single person was working heavily to make the best of the situation. Everyone was, it didn't matter, morale never dropped. I mean, there were times obviously where people were feeling low, but morale, there was a constant sense of, we need to keep doing this. And that was inspired by Churchill, and it has, you know, festered into this situation where we might not be proud of other things that Britain did, but we can absolutely be proud of this moment in time, because this was Great Britain at its greatest, in my opinion. So, like I say, everyone's on high alert. Everyone's constantly waiting for that phone call so they can jump in the air. There is a story about two British brothers, both pilots in the same squadron, Anthony Fisher and Basil Fisher.
Basil, such a 40s name,
isn't it? They would fly off from Croydon Airfield every day to fight the Luftwaffe head-on. Their father had died during World War I. Their cousin had died fighting in Belgium against the Germans a few months ago. Their best friend had died during the evacuation at Dunkirk. These guys were truly frontline British soldiers in every sense. On the 15th of August 1940, during one of these air battles, Anthony witnessed his brother Basil be shot out of the sky. He then watched as his brother bailed out of the aircraft, started parachuting towards the ground, when the parachute caught on fire. Anthony watched as his brother plummeted to his death. And after this, in fact that evening, Anthony was sent on sick leave by the RAF after a nervous breakdown. It says that in the report.
You probably like to suffer something like that when you
I mean, fair enough.
Probably as traumatic a thing as you can see.
And this is the kind of point we're making, is that, like, not everyone's brothers in the Air Force, but the point is that everyone's sacrificing. Everyone's working for what they can. And, you know, imagine the mental and physical exhaustion of these fighter pilots to be waiting, you know, barely getting any sleep, sitting, waiting around for the call. The call comes up, they get into their aircraft, they know every single time it could be their last time in an aircraft. You might get not only no sleep, but you might get shot out the sky, survive, but the war's not over. You got to get right back on it. Yeah. And it's, these fighter pilots had so much weight on their shoulders, because if they get this wrong, if they can't win these battles, some of them so close, then Britain is under threat of invasion.
Yeah. It's also really fucking hard to fly a plane.
It's
not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you see like the dials on the inside and the fuel management and like the technical maneuvers and rolls you have to make, all while literally trying to fight for your life.
I mean, mate,
it's not simple.
One of the next things I have to say is, this is one of the biggest obstacles for the RAF in terms of keeping the war effort going. Wasn't the planes, because they could build a few hundred every single day. It was training the pilots. If you lose so many pilots, you can't just train them within a week to fly an aircraft. I mean, I think the Hurricane flies through the sky at 350 miles an hour.
Really?
And the Spitfire will be faster than that. The reason I told you that story before is to get into the idea that this mental kind of warfare is as difficult as the physical. Not only are you having to fight and be trained and know what you're doing, but you have to physically and, emotionally psych yourself up to do it over and over there again when you might be on like 1 hour sleep. That's not easy to train.
No.
And then as well, they're squadrons, right? So, you've got your wingman, you've got the people around you. If you've got replacements coming in all the time, do you trust them? Do you think they'll have your back in a dogfight? Will they be able to come in and save the day if they're like some 18-year-old that started training only a few months ago? This is such an intense situation, and there's so much at stake if they get it wrong.
Yeah.
Imagine there's 12 planes in a squadron. This would be really feasible that this could happen. You'd have 12 planes, your mates, your people you've been working with for a while. You fly up into the sky for a battle with the Luftwaffe, and you come back down with 3. 9 planes have been shot out the sky. 3 of you are remaining. The next day, you've got 9 new planes, maybe 7 replacements, and 2 of the guys have survived their the plane being shot down, and they've jumped out of it and they're able to join back with the unit. But, you suddenly got pretty much an entirely new squadron with several new replacements taking over. And you just think, like, when the churn is that much, how do you, mentally psych yourself up for it? But also, how does the RAF not just completely fall under its own weight? How are you able to keep this going? And it got so close to the line in terms of how much. Apparently, at one point, every single Spitfire, Hurricane, or British fighter plane was in the air at once. They had none in reserve whatsoever. Meanwhile, there's just wave upon wave of seemingly endless German fighter groups, on the radar that that's coming in 2 minutes, and you go, we have nothing left. If we don't beat them here, then we're screwed.
Was the Battle of Britain then a one-day thing? Or
No,
was it like a
good
week?
question. I should have said that. The Battle of Britain lasts for months. I think it's 3 months and 3 weeks.
So are there any days where it's like, this is the day? Like, There's hundreds and hundreds of planes.
There are times where it lulls and there's not that much fighting going on. And then there are times where there's lots of fighting nonstop, several waves a day. And there is a bigger battle, and that's later on, and I will get to that.
Cool.
So, obviously, as with any country, these pilots kind of became sort of national heroes. We talked about this before, how they were kind of the rock stars of the 1940s. Everyone wanted a handshake with these like supermen, as it were, right? They gained the reputation of being cool, calm, larger than life, loved to laugh.
Aces.
Superheroes. Aces. Well, yeah, there's the aces, of course, the most famous of them all. But, all these guys, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're not an ace. You're still being treated like a king. These are the kind of guys that you'd have a laugh and a beer with, and then seconds later, a call would come in, and they'd lock the fuck in, and they'd be like, right, let's get to my plane, and you're like, get off, and they're like pushing like whoever's the mechanics, and they're like, let's go, and they're flying off, and you're watching them do it, and you're like, I was drinking a pint with that guy like seconds ago. What the fucking hell? Apparently, there were times that they would be shot down by a Messerschmitt, and they'd, successfully bail out of the aircraft, land on the ground, quickly run back to the airfield, get in the next Spitfire they can find, and go straight back up there straight away. So it's like these Germans are shooting people out the sky, and then 5 minutes later they're like, what the fuck, I just killed him. How's this guy come back up?
Do they go after them when they're parachuting too? Do you reckon they
I think it's probably quite difficult to do that. I'm sure they tried. Just but I don't know how easy it is to shoot
probably really tricky target, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's simpler than we
you
think.
put a hole through a shoe and it will just
you've just got to recognise how insane it is that these guys are able to just go straight back into it. They've just been shot. Like, their blood is just pumping through their body, going like, holy shit, I've just been shot out of the sky.
They love it.
And yet they're like, all right, I'm going back in. I'm not done yet. I've got to go save my colleagues, my squad. Here's another story for you. So RAF pilot Dennis Robinson was born in Dorset in 1918, and he went to school in North London. He was turning 22 when the Battle of Britain began, and he was involved in a number of skirmishes. But on August the 8th, Dennis was shot down by a Messerschmitt 109. He decided not to parachute because he felt that although he was going down, he could kind of steer the plane until it was a somewhat, all right landing. Hopefully to save parts of the plane, I imagine. It was still a pretty dodgy crash. If you're watching the visual podcast, I'll put an image up because they took a photo of it afterwards. It's literally like the nose of the Spitfire is down on the ground and he's basically like hovering over it. Well, you can't see him, but the cockpit is hovering over it. It was honestly a miracle that it didn't catch on fire, but it landed in a field in Wareham, which is near Bournemouth, and he quickly untangles himself from the stuff and gets out. Luckily, it wasn't on fire anyway, so he would have been fine, but pretty dramatic crash. Apparently, the locals of Wareham come out to go see this. Like, what the hell? This plane's just crashed in the field. And they go up to him, yeah, you right, mate? And it's like, yeah, fine. And apparently, these residents, these Warehamers, whisked him off in a car, drove him to the nearest pub and bought him some whiskey. So the good old Dennis spent the afternoon at the pub, chatted with the locals, had some whiskey, returned to the RAF base later that day and started flying in another squadron fight the next day.
That's ridiculous.
So
Don Draper coded that.
Yeah, he's just like, this guy's just like, you know what? Like, I've done my fighting for today. Let's go to the pub, sit down, have some whiskey.
Do you reckon they'll get like disciplined for doing that? Or
no, not at all.
Be fine.
You've just been shot out of the sky. Yeah, they're not expecting you to go back and fight straight away. It's the will of these pilots to do it. And I don't think he's close to the airbase at all. So from his perspective, he's like, okay, I've just been shot. I feel a little bit...
Quick fish and chips.
I feel a bit in shock. Yeah, can we just... And they take him down and you go, right, mate, what do you want? Oh, fuck, I want some whiskey.
Prawns,
oysters. Yeah. You got any pork scratchings?
Yes. Scampi crisps.
Scampi crisps, that'd be nice. Now, we have very briefly mentioned how it's not just the British that fought for the RAF. In fact, many countries, non-British countries, fought for the RAF during the battles of Britain, and this is where the quiz comes in. You ready?
You always prefer a quiz, don't you?
So, I've got here 14 different nations that had at least one pilot fighting for the British RAF during the Battle of Britain. I've got them in order as well. So you can go ahead. How many of these 14 do you reckon you can get?
Are we excluding Empire?
No.
I reckon I can 14. Get 11.
11, okay.
Maybe 12.
Okay, all right, go for it.
Okay.
I'll say how many, so go one by one.
Canada, Australia.
So Canada's third with 113, and Australia is sixth with around 30.
Okay. New Zealand.
New Zealand is second with 130.
India.
India is not on there.
Really? They're not allowing Indians to fly the planes?
No, it's Churchill.
Classic, yeah. Zimbabweans.
Good one. They were 11th. There was only 3 or 4 of them. It was known at the time as Southern Rhodesia, but Zimbabwe.
Kenyans?
Not Kenyans, no.
Americans?
Yes, 10 or so Americans.
Spanish?
No Spanish. No Spanish. French, yes. I mean, technically it was Free France at the time because France was technically an Axis puppet. But yes, there were about 13 or 14 French.
Belgian, Netherlands?
Belgium, yes, they were 5th with about 30. Netherlands are not on here.
Norwegians?
No Norwegians.
Danes?
No Danes, no.
Okay, Germans?
No Germans.
No Germans? I know number one. Number one's Poles, right?
Yes, Poland was the number one. It had 145 to 146.
Yeah, and they were really fucking good.
They were really good, the Poles. And another country from that kind of region that you haven't mentioned so far. Not Hungary.
Romania?
Not Romania.
Latvia?
Nope.
Lithuania?
No.
Estonia?
No, you're going too east.
Austria?
No, but close.
Czechoslovakia.
Yes,
we had loads of those. Yeah,
they were 4th. Czechoslovakia was in the 80s for pilots. Czechoslovakia.
They're great designers.
So you have said Poland first. Yeah, New Zealand, Canada, Czechoslovakia, Belgium, Australia. I don't think you said 7th. You then said 8th, which is France, Ireland. Wait, did you say Ireland?
No.
Oh, sorry, I just spoiled that for you. But yeah, Ireland, USA 10th, Zimbabwe 11th. You haven't got 12th, 13th, 14th, which only had one from their countries, and 7th. Okay. 7th had 22 to 25 pilots.
Italy?
Not Italy.
No, Yugoslavia?
I'll tell you now, all of the ones that you haven't said are either colonies or former colonies.
Oh, right, okay. I'm trying to think. Venezuelans?
Not Venezuelans. Venezuela was a colony?
We had some. Egyptians?
No.
God damn it, man. Ugandans?
No. So far, you've got 10 out of 14.
Okay, Malaysia.
Not Malaysia.
Chinese.
Not Chinese.
Fuck.
No.
Alfie's laughing at me.
Our producer's laughing in the next room.
Malawians.
Malarians? What the fuck? No.
Somalians.
No.
Oh,
Okay, I'm going to give you a clue, but I think we can put you at 10, which means you have to have a drink because you've definitely not reached 11. So there are 2 African countries and 2...
Ghanaians, Nigerians.
Not Ghanaians or Nigerians. It's a really obvious one. One of the British colonies. Probably our most famous colony from Africa.
I said South Africa.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. Well, there's 7.
I did. I said at the start.
Did you?
West Indies, Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Jamaica had 1. Trinidad and Tobago not there.
Bahamas.
Not the Bahamas, but close in name. Begins with a B.
B.
What's another
Benin?
Caribbean nation that's not the Bahamas?
Oh, Barbados.
Barbados.
And
finally, the last one, 14th on this list, or I guess
give me a clue.
12th, Africa, known at the time as Northern Rhodesia.
Oh, that's Zimbabwe. Somalia, Darfur.
You've already tried those, no?
Sudan.
It's near Zimbabwe. In fact, it must be because Southern
Eritrea.
Rhodesia.
Botswana.
We're showing your African geography right now.
Yeah,
Botswana is in that region, but no. Shall I just say it's the last one?
Eswatini?
It's not Eswatini. It is Zambia.
Zambia. Damn it, man.
Well, you did well. You got roughly around 11.
I've had a drink. That was actually
nice.
delicious crepe brewery drink there.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it.
Team.
Glad you liked it. Right, so at this point, the RAF is on its last legs. It's desperately fighting off waves of German fighters for months on end. The Germans have no idea, and they didn't realise throughout the war, just how close they were to capsizing the British ability to hold on to air superiority. They had no idea.
Win for us. I thought we battered them.
No. Well, we battered them in the sense that we were beating back more than they were like killing us. But we had nowhere near the amount of construction that they had. We were not building planes and training pilots anywhere near as well as the Germans or as quickly as the Germans were able to pump them out. And also, we had been beaten back. We'd already lost. I mean, we'd lost some of our army, we lost some of our capabilities. We were losing in battles in Africa and stuff. We were not doing well, and on the world war in this sense, and it was a struggle. And there were points where it was really worrying. However, Hitler makes a dum-dum. Do you know what that dum-dum is, Zach?
He relieves Goering of the Luftwaffe command or something. No, that'd be
clever.
Good. That'd be great.
That'd be clever. Stupid Goering.
He invades Russia. That's 2 years later.
That is 2 years.
He begins a year later.
A year later.
He begins drawing up plans for the invasion of Russia.
No. So I bet I reckon when I start saying this, you'll be like, oh yeah. But Hitler makes quite a few dum-dums throughout the war.
Yeah.
He's quite well known for starting strong and then just continuously fucking himself as time goes on. But this is a pretty silly one. Essentially, what happens is Winston Churchill, I think at some point in August of that year, of 1940, decides to authorize a bombing run on Berlin.
Yes.
And the bombing run does nothing. It kills a few civilians. It damages a few buildings. Doesn't take on any targets.
But the significance is that they've hit Berlin.
It doesn't. Why? But the point is that they were trying to do something to Berlin, but in reality, it actually done virtually nothing. However, the one thing it had done is pissed off Hitler. Hitler was like, how fucking dare these Brits attack my capital city? How fucking dare they attack the heart of the Reich? This is our home. How could they get this close? And
nine.
That type of Hitler. That's what we were getting in August 1940. So what does he do? He changes the Luftwaffe's tactics. Now it's personal for him. He says, I want you to fuck up London.
Really?
I want you to destroy London.
Which is probably like one of the most heavily air defended cities in the world at this point in time.
Possibly, but more importantly, it's his way of saying, look, if we can't, because they have no way of knowing if the RAF are holding on or not. Yeah. They seem to be doing well. So we thought, let's attack let's at least, as a sign of force, as a sign of strength, and also as a sign of showing, like, we will beat you.
Kill the national spirit.
Let's kill the national spirit. So he goes, attack London, destroy London. Now, the Blitz and the Battle of Britain are often confused, or they're often, put together, and it's hard to distinguish between them. So I'll quickly explain how they are different. The Battle of Britain is this fight for air superiority over the British Empire, over the island of
UK
Britain.
and the English Channel.
And that happens over the course of a few months. The Blitz is the continuous German bombing of South England and predominantly London. And it's the Blitz, as we're both Londoners, and it's a very famous part of the history of this city, is the Blitz and the combined efforts of everyone to make sure that London kept running despite this.
Carrie's family, their old family home, or their
This is your girlfriend.
Yeah, people that watch this podcast probably know that my girlfriend is Carrie. I mention her constantly.
Might be new listeners.
Very true, yeah. So that her family had a bomb shelter in the back of the garden that her dad dug up, but like they're quite commonplace to find.
There's
like,
quite a lot.
old homes.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of homes that would have those shelters basically behind the garden. But if you didn't have access to that, then usually you would go into a tube station.
Yeah,
that was or some sort of specialist
It's quite
building.
a rural area they lived in. So like,
There was often some sort of specialist building, usually a tube that you would go into once the air raid sirens started making their noises.
Yeah, you've seen pictures of like the people huddled on the tracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's such an awesome piece of our history to see these like the nation and the city work so hard to push back these like horrible German bombing attempts.
Hey, don't worry. 2 years' time, we'll get to experience it too when Russia's fucking cruise missiling London.
London. So essentially, that's what the Blitz is. It's this attempt by the Germans to weaken the resolve of Britain by attacking its cities and the most London. But that's where he fucked up, isn't it?
Because they overexpend standards.
No one's fucking weakening our resolve. No one's fucking weakening ours. Yeah. You know,
the only person that weaken our resolve, it's us.
You can say what you like about Britain, but if our literal motto is keep calm and carry on, then what the fuck do you think a bunch of fucking bombers are gonna do, Nazis? This is our bread and butter. Yeah. This is the shit that we work on. This is like the number one thing we'll be able to do is keep calm during a panic and not say, you know, we will fucking fight whatever it is. The average citizen, and they did. The average citizen in London did not for 1 minute consider going, maybe we should peace talk Hitler. You know, maybe if we get stop the bombings, you know, they thought, fuck this tyrannical regime. Maybe. They would have said, we got to keep going until they fucking destroy the entire city. We are not letting them have this.
Yeah. And also, the Germans don't know how passive-aggressive we are. And like, if they do hit us, we're like, bloody bastards. They really overstepped their welcome this time, didn't they? The Germans. How dare they?
Keep calm
and
carry
bomb
on.
The local pub.
This is how
Imagine that. Oh my God. Imagine how pissed off the locals would be when their favourite pub's been bombed.
Well, you know what I would have done if they'd done that? I would have donated £5 to my local RAF.
Yeah, too right.
And thought, look, if you go to Berlin and you fucking bomb them up, they lose their beer halls if they're going to take down our pubs.
Yeah.
You know, I would do it.
Let's not hit the beer halls now. The beer halls are delicious.
They're attacking our pubs.
Yeah, but great. Where else can you get a white sausage and some fucking creamy wheat beer?
Mate, if they're taking down our scampi and chips in our, with our nice stout, then I'm taking down their beer halls, man. I don't give a shit. I'll give them a tenner. I'm upping it. A £5 ain't enough. I'm giving them a tenner. That's like my week's wages.
I might join up.
Yeah, I'll fuck it up. Well, we would be joining up. There's no way
we'd be conscripted.
We would have been
there.
We
have a choice.
We probably would have already been dead by this point. Let's be real.
You underestimate yourself. I reckon you could survive at least 3 years.
A few battles.
Yeah. You'll get to like Dresden.
Dresden. I don't think any Brits died in Dresden.
No,
that was the awfulness of the firebombing, was that there was nothing. No one fought back. There was no one in the air. No aircraft shooting. What are they called? The
flax.
No, yeah, the things that shoot up the flax. Yeah, there was nothing that stopped the British, so they basically had complete control of the city and just bombed it to oblivion.
So, for those of you who don't know about Dresden is a firebombing that happens in 1943, where we basically torch an entire city. We use incendiary bombs in southern Germany, and we think like it's like a big industrial complex, but it's not. It's like a
really nice city, historical, cultural,
really lovely
city.
And
it's dead. I mean, we literally burn people alive.
Tens of thousands of people.
One of the worst war crimes that the British did. You know, in the war.
Firebombings are pretty crazy.
They're pretty grim.
Like using what happens is like the planes drop incendiary bombs, and then like the wind and like the current will like whip it up into a literal like tornado of fire. And this happened in Tokyo, where like a lot of the buildings are wooden. Yeah. And it killed more people than the atomic bombing at Hiroshima did. Yeah. Which is insane.
Yeah, firebombings are like, you know, arguably worse in World War II. Arguably worse than atomic weapons, in the sense that the killing, the destruction, and also the suffering is just unbelievable. Especially in Japan, just because so many of the buildings in Tokyo, especially, were wood. But we're going far off track here. like I mentioned, everyone in the capital is playing their part. Everyone is working hard for this goal. They've got everyone with their own specialist jobs, even the children. So I'm going to tell you
Not the children.
I'm going to tell a fun story about my own family. My grandmother Gags was
what's her actual name?
Carol.
Carol.
Gags. Her name's Gags. It was technically Gaga. The reason her name is Gags is because I couldn't pronounce nanny or grandma or whatever when I was young, so I just called her Gaga. And that just became... And now everyone calls her Gaga or Gags. Yeah. But anyway, Gags...
they call her Gaga.
Everyone calls her Gags now. She's Gags.
All the men in the neighborhood
back in the day it was. Anyway...
She's probably listening. I don't want to call her Gaga.
Mate, let me tell this lovely story about my grandmother, right? You interrupted... Jesus Christ. So Gags was a toddler in southeast London. When the Blitz began, and there was a little hole that was made in the garden of her home, a little hole in the fence. And her job as a toddler during the Blitz was when the air raid siren started, going and all the horrible noises.
Sound effects this episode.
Yeah, and when that moment happened, Gags, my grandmother, would climb through this little tiny hole. She would go into the garden of the next door neighbour, which was a very old deaf lady, and she would bang on the door until the lady heard the commotion, and then she would take her hand and they would go to the air raid shelter nearby.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, which was, I don't know, I think it was a tube station. I can't remember.
Go on, Gags.
So yeah, literally, so, this is, a literal child. I mean, a young child with her own tiny little important role to play in the Blitz. And this is a microcosm of what every single citizen in England, in Britain, in the Empire, and especially in South England and in London had to do on a daily basis. Everyone played their part in the Blitz, and the Blitz went on longer than the Battle of Britain. They continued to bomb London for, I think, eight months, and then I think they also tried again in 1943.
Yeah.
So the reason that I said Hitler had made a dum-dum was because the decision by Hitler and the Germans to attack London predominantly meant that the RAF had a small window to replenish. They could now actually bring in planes without losing them daily. Their pilots got a well-deserved break, where even though some of them were still fighting over the skies of London to shoot back, in general, they were able to just get a bit more of a breather, and this would happen over the next coming months. And this culminated into the biggest and most important battle in air aviation fighting, dogfighting history, you'd argue, 1 week after the Blitz begins. Apparently, in September, so Hitler's made this decision, and then there's 1 week of continuous bombing every single day of London, every single day, and at the end of it, 1,120 German aircraft prepared to attack London.
Really?
That's 600 bombers and 500 bombers and 600 fighter planes, and the RAF scramble 630 of their own fighter planes. And at 10 a.m. on Sunday, the 15th of September, 1940, they meet and they fight throughout the entire day. The Luftwaffe was hoping that they could draw out all of the remaining RAF and take them down, and that would be it. Air superiority. In fact, the British lost only 29 aircraft, while the Germans...
29?
Yeah, but the Germans only lost 58. But I think the point is that once the numbers start... Because the thing is, it's quite early on in a battle, if you have the numbers. And once you have the numbers, it's just going to become a turkey shoot.
A route.
So it's like a route. Yeah, exactly. So I think that from the Germans' perspective, the second the British were clearly starting to win and dominate, they pulled out. But this took the entire day. And in the evening, they were pulling back. And it was at that night that Hitler had to come to a decision. The RAF was showing no signs of running out of material to fight. In fact, they were, but Hitler had no idea if they were or not. They were showing no indication of it. The British were still dominating the skies. The British public seemed to have lost no morale whatsoever, and they seemed to just, continue to fight to the death in terms of their wording, especially after the most intensive bombing campaign in the capital's history. And Churchill is still constantly rallying the British and its allies to never surrender to the German war machine. So Hitler decides to postpone the plan to invade Britain and just accept the losses. Soon, the Germans would turn their attention to the east and Soviet Russia, and Britain, despite being bombed for many months after this, in the Blitz and across South England, would finally have a bit of respite. It was Hitler's first major defeat as leader of Germany.
Come on,
and after this,
get in there.
And after this moment, there was never a real threat that Britain would be invaded. I've got to agree with what you said. As a Brit, there are times that when we discuss history, it's sometimes we have to be a bit careful. Some of our things that we've done, say, in our colonial history and stuff, it has been a bit dodgy. But
Ireland,
it's funny. I thought of Ireland first when I was saying that as well. But
sorry, Ireland.
Are you
I
apologising?
really would like to apologise on behalf of the British Empire.
For the British Empire's actions.
For Cromwell, for the famines, for Do we apologise for the Troubles? Is that something we apologise for?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Well, we should. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there are times where, especially it's so polarised at the moment, and the nationalist subject of should you be proud of your country, is Britain a shithole, what have we done, Brexit and all this, it becomes a part of the national discussion about what it's like. Can you wave a Union Jack, or can you wave a St George's flag, and that be seen as racist or natural or normal or patriotic or nationalistic? And I do think that regardless of all the other stuff that I feel quite disappointed in my own country from our past and also in our present, thinking about the non-stop actions that everyone in my country was doing from the space of 1939 to all of the war, but 1939 to 1940 and 41, with the British public fighting so hard to keep the country going, while these superhero RAF pilots were non-stop fighting the German Luftwaffe head on. I mean, there's not anything really more pride-inducing than that.
It's weird that it's now wrong to be patriotic. Like, it's not really like a morally right thing to be patriotic, is it? Because like it feels like it's
so intertwined with nationalism, and nationalism is quite dodgy, and so it's so intertwined with this kind of sense of like, I feel patriotic about my own country at times, but there are times where that patriotism it makes me think like, I don't want to overstep my boundary. I don't want to make it feel like I'm Britain all in all, when in reality we do a lot of pretty shitty things as well. It's a really difficult and delicate line to do, and I wish there was more like normal debate about it, rather than the debate that
really hot-headed,
toxic, and fascisty, and reformer scum and all that. I wish the debate was more talking about things in a more objective sense. Yeah, and you can't do that. The modern day with social media, it's so difficult. The
narrative as well also seems to assume that Britain is just a shithole and that it is terrible here. And like realistically, like things are not ideal. Wages are low and cost of living is incredibly high. It's still like one of the best countries in the world to live in. Yeah. I think when you think about countries you'd like to live in besides the United Kingdom or England, it's very, very few. Like Australia, Japan, maybe.
I mean, there's lots of great nations. But Britain is a good place.
There are so many great things of it.
It's often easy to forget. But as a country, we did a lot of good things as well. And for me, this is possibly the proudest moment. The last thing I'll say on this is just to wrap it all off. From the moment Churchill took charge and ordered that we will never ever surrender and bow down to these tyrannical, fascist, evil force of Nazis, everyone stepped up, from the RAF pilots, the ground staff, the engineers in the factories, from firefighters, ambulance workers, first responders, to the everyday citizen, including my grandmother and your girlfriend's family, as we said before. To end with, Zack, the RAF pilots of this conflict were known for an iconic nickname given to them by Winston Churchill. Do you know the nickname?
Lions. Four lions.
Oh no, you were close though. I thought you were about to say it. They're known as the Few.
The Few.
Yes, and I'll tell you exactly why they're iconically known. These guys behind us are known as the Few
because there's very few of them.
Because of Churchill's speech, which he said this is in the midst of the Battle of Britain. This is what Churchill said: "The gratitude of every home in our island, in our empire, and indeed throughout the world, except in the abodes of the guilty, goes out to the British airmen who, undaunted by odds, unwearied in their constant challenge and mortal danger, are turning the tide of world war by their prowess and by their devotion. Never, in the field of human conflict, was so much owed by so many to so few."
Another corker, another absolute heater.
And so for that reason, these guys are known as the few, the ones that everyone owes their thanks to, because if it weren't for these fighters, the world would be a very different place. And that's where we're going to end today's podcast. So thank you very much, Zack.
That was thrilling. I really liked that. I thought that was really interesting. I think you're right. We should be more proud of some parts of our culture. Maybe not all of it, because there's certainly quite a lot of shit and trash in there. But this for sure. Like the British spirit during World War II was unparalleled.
Yep.
So thank you for telling me about that.
Absolutely, a nice patriotic way to start season 3 of the Pint-Sized History Podcast.
And this season's all about Britain.
Yeah, it's just non-stop
every week.
So if you hate our country, unlucky.
Next is the Irish potato famine. A brilliant measure. No, I'm joking.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Man. Come on.
Yikes.
I'm taking the piss. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been lovely to be back.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye.